meeting to order. All rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Noting Liz Dush's absence.
I got an email today at 5:32, and Ms. Palmer was attached to it as board secretary that Ms. Dush's has resigned effective immediately.
And we will be addressing that with more detail in the other section of the meeting. All right, so moving through this, I need a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes of June 14th, 2021, Facilities Committee meeting minutes of June 16th, 2021, Transportation Committee meeting minutes of July 7th, 2021, Policy Committee meeting minutes of July 7th, 2021.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Okay. Belt?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Hallmeyer?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I need a motion to approve the executive session meeting minutes of June 14th, 2021.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Okay. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Hallmeyer?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, this is going to be long. I need a motion to approve the following executive minutes remain closed. Transportation Negotiations Committee executive minutes of July 2nd, 2020. Personnel Committee executive minutes of July 2nd, 2020. Transportation Negotiations Committee executive minutes of July 9th, 2020. Negotiation Committee executive minutes of July 16th, 2020. Transportation Negotiation Committee executive minutes of July 23rd, 2020. Regular session executive minutes of August 12th, 2020. Transportation Negotiations Committee executive minutes of August 13th, 2020. Personnel Committee executive minutes of August 25th, 2020. Transportation Negotiations Committee executive minutes of September 3rd, 2020. BEA Negotiation Committee executive minutes of September 3rd, 2020. Regular session executive minutes of September 14th, 2020. Transportation Negotiations Committee executive meeting minutes of September 17th, 2020. BEA Negotiations Committee executive minutes of September 17th, 2020. Transportation Negotiations Committee executive minutes of October 1st, 2020. BEA Negotiations Committee executive minutes of October 1st, 2020. Special Board Meeting executive minutes of October 7th, 2020. Regular session executive minutes of October 14th, 2020. The first one. Regular session executive minutes of October 14th, 2020, the second one. Transportation Negotiations Committee executive minutes of October 15th, 2020. BEA Negotiations Committee executive minutes of October 15th, 2020. Transportation Negotiations Committee executive minutes of October 22nd, 2020. BEA Negotiation Committee executive minutes of October 22nd, 2020. Special Board executive session minutes of October 26th, 2020. Transportation Committee executive minutes of November 2nd, 2020. Special Board executive session minutes of November 4th, 2020. BEA Negotiations Committee executive minutes of November 9th, 2020. Regular session executive minutes of November 9th, 2020. Special Board executive minutes of November 10th, 2020. Special Board executive minutes of November 19th, 2020. BEA Negotiations Committee executive minutes of November 23rd, 2020. Personnel Committee executive minutes of December 2nd, 2020. Regular session executive minutes of December 14th, 2020. Special Board executive minutes of December 17th, 2020. And Transportation Negotiations Committee executive minutes of December 22nd, 2020.
Can you repeat this? So moved.
Thanks.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Pappas? I'm sorry, Hallmeyer?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
And Belt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I need a motion to approve the destruction of the following audio recorded minutes of Special Board Executive Session Meeting Minutes of August 5th, 2019. Regular session executive meeting minutes of September 9th, 2019. Regular session executive meeting minutes of October 16th, 2019. And regular session executive meeting minutes of December 9th, 2019.
So moved.
Thank you.
Okay, Missouri,
Yes.
Paulmeyer,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Belt,
Yes.
and Hernandez.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, everybody got the additional bills in hard copy and also email today. Are there any questions or discussions on the July 2021 expenses?
Just why don't we get them so late? Did they just come in that late?
I'm sorry.
Did they just come in before the packet, or did they just come in today?
From Friday till Wednesday, the packets went on Friday, and so then we had 3 days of mail.
Perfect.
And lots of ordering has been going on, as you can see, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the July expenses.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, Paulmeyer,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Belt,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Oh, Missouri, sorry, Missouri.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Okay, our treasurer's report. Mr. Peters, are you on the phone?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, balance in the Super Now account at First Community at the end of June was $861,562.24. We had outstanding checks of $27,860.19. June payroll carryover into July of $25,917.33, leaving the adjusted bank balance at $807,784.72. Lunch program had a balance of $250, impressed fund of $5,000, leaving the total balance at $813,34.72. The investment balances finished at $12,671, $584.47, leaving the balance of all funds as of June 30, $13,484,619.19. June receipts, $5,975,357.62. Expenses, $5,186,943.32. The individual fund balances, education fund, $4,648,060.93. Building fund, $2,612,897.40. Bond and interest, $910,429.45. Transportation, $1,897,189.74. IMRF, $184,547.65. Working cash, $2,550,671.14. Tort fund, $138,830.45. And life safety, $541,992.43. We earned $216.76 in interest in June. The state just had a few distributions to us. Just state aid, $170,844.46. IDEA grant, $94,921.20. And school lunch, $74,879.34. We also received 2 property tax distributions. First one, $4,036,746.47, and the third one, $702,304.95. Fund balances are in the packet.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Peters? Okay, no. I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, Herman,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Belt,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Paulmeyer.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, so I wanted to, first of all, welcome formally Mr. Dr. Gaham to the board, to the district. This is his first official regular meeting. And to do so, I'm going to move the reopening plan discussion to before public comment, just because I feel that there's a lot of questions anyway, so that way we're like right here, you know, and so that way he can just start immediately.
Respectfully, can I first recognize our
Oh, please.
state athlete in the back? That way-
Absolutely.
That way it can go straight from reopening.
Could they come up so that the YouTube can
Well,
see them?
but by they, you mean Miss Maddie Bully.
Yes.
Actually, she's here because of the amazing painting she's doing around the district. So, come on up, Maddie.
Yeah.
So, Maddie went to state for us in both, if anything I say is wrong, don't correct me. I'm kidding. She went to the state for shot put and discus. And her PR for shot put is 39 feet 10 inches, and her discus PR is 129. I'm going to round this up to 10 inches, so 129 feet 10 inches. And she finished third in state in the discus, which will earn her a banner inside the high school gym. If you haven't been in there yet because of COVID, we now put all banners for our third place finishers and above individuals. So she's now going to get a banner in our gym forever, unless Mr. Meyer tears it down, forever, recognizing her and her amazing accomplishment. And I also have a note from Mr. Ogden that during this year, this is where you can correct Mr. Ogden if you want, she won every single meet with the exception of the Irish invite in both shot put and disc. So she was undefeated with the exception of, obviously, state and one Irish invite. So just phenomenal. So, and then the other one we had was Russell Ward. He did make it down to state. I don't see, Russell is not here.
Oh, okay.
Is it working?
He's at work.
I tried to get him.
He couldn't run over.
Do you want to go on the YouTube for him? No. You can go on the YouTube for him.
I tried. He couldn't get away.
Okay.
So the good news is Russell made it to state. He finished 12th, and he's only a junior. So that means we have high expectations of Russell going back down there next year
Great.
and getting himself a banner up there as well. Some notes that Mr. Ogden had for him. I'm sorry, I lied. He placed 30th in the states. Sorry, 30th. It was his first time, 100%. I couldn't finish the top 30 in anything.
I'd still be running.
It's his first time competing at the state event. Russell competed in the 2-mile race. And he did it 6 times throughout the season, and he placed first 2 times, second 3 times, including at sectional, and 1 third place finish. So a guy who's never run the 2-mile prior to this is just lights out. So it's phenomenal work by Russell and Maddie. So very, very proud of our students and everything.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep, so like I said, and Maddie's doing amazing work when it comes to painting around here.
And
So,
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I assume that's why most people are here is about the reopening. I'm no fool to think that. And again, my hope was, and I heard this from the actual lawyer of IASA, who's the superintendent lawyer, he said he thought the ISB would come out with some extra things today, and I'm stunned, they didn't give us anything. However, here's what I can tell you for a fact is going on right now, and I'm going to tell you what I want to have you guys participate in tomorrow to help me out with this. So, the first thing I can tell you is ISBE, Superintendent Dr. Ayala has stressed, education next year is in person. So whatever our school district needs to do to get kids in this building is paramount, which is why they've allowed some extra mitigations when it comes to masking. And so that's where your input throughout the next 24 hours to 48 hours is going to be paramount for me. Here are some hard lines the state has taken. Masking, whatever your opinion is of masking, is required on all school transportation. That is a CDC state law. So even if your child is vaccinated, they have to wear a mask if they're on school transportation. Okay? So that there's no way around that. Now, where we're allowed some additional guidance in a local sense is the extra mitigations. That means masking, quarantine, social distancing. And so what the state has said, and again, they recommend, is as you remove mitigations, you do them slowly. Because if you pull the rug over everything, you don't know what it was. Okay? So that is why in the last 24 hours, a lot of schools have started to release masking next year will be optional. That's what other schools have done. As I said in my email that you may or may not have read, I was just in a room with 50 plus superintendents. Even within that room, there was 2 ends of the spectrum. It's also amazing. Some of them are from up north where it's a little bit more blue, and some are from south where it's a little more red. But Each one had their own thought, and each one of them said the exact same thing I did. What are you doing? So, what I did, under the suggestion of someone,
Why are you pointing?
because you were going to tell me to do it and ask me if it was a good idea, and I liked the idea before you even brought it up. So in the next 12 hours, so I might send it out tonight, I might send it out in the morning, we'll see what happens. I've created a survey that I need parents to fill out. And this survey is very basic, it's a checklist. And you have 6 options, but it's really 2 if you have a child in any one of the grades. It simply says, I have an elementary student. If allowed, they will not be masked. I have an elementary student, they will be masked no matter what. I have a junior high student, if unvaccinated, they will not be able to wear a mask. If unvaccinated, they will be wearing a mask. The same with the high school. If I have a high school student, and you just simply check which one you have, and which one your family's choice is. Okay? Now again, I'm not telling you that if 95%, well, that's a silly comparison. If I tell you 51% of the people said this, that's my choice. However, this is at least giving me an idea where our community stands on this. Because I can assure you, I've had phone calls from both sides today alone. I had a phenomenal conversation, and I think she said she's on the phone. A phenomenal conversation with someone who doesn't want masking. I had a great conversation with someone who does. Okay? So when it comes to that, we have a right to make masks optional. So that's going to be the first big hurdle we come up with. And then from there, we'll look for further mitigations to be lifted. Those are the big ones. 3 feet separation. Our rows are basically 3 feet. One of the things we're going to look at, 3 feet, 2.5 feet. We're not going to pull out a ruler, but school is going to go back if we want to get it back. And I said it to you guys a month ago when I presented this to you. My goal is to make this school district look like it did 2 years ago. Kids in classrooms, teachers teaching. That's what the school is. Okay? It is my professional opinion and personal opinion that it's not through a computer. Just so the community knows, 2 things. 1, you don't have to ask me, I'll tell you, I am vaccinated. My son, who's 12, is not, by his choice. My school district that my children attend make masking voluntary. I've had a conversation with both of my children. My junior high student will be wearing a mask because he wants to. My elementary daughter will not because she doesn't want to. I let them make that choice because they are people. I have my own personal opinions on this. I will not use that to make this decision, and I will not make you make that decision. It is a decision for your family. However, once we come to what I believe is best for our school district and best for our kids, that's where we will be heading for. Okay? So don't think if it comes out that we have to have masks, Gaham's a mask guy. My daughter's not wearing one. Or if I tell you, mask drop, oh, Gaham's nuts, she doesn't believe in the magic, or no, I'm sorry, not magic, the science. Sorry, wrong word. Oh, I'm going to get blasted on Facebook. 14 days in, I got blasted on Facebook. My daughter's not wearing a mask. So please don't think any decision I make is on my own personal. Okay? So now we're going to allow public comment to where you...
Well, let me finish.
Sir.
Let me finish.
Why don't you start?
Let me start. I understand, and I just saw another school district last week, though, they made it optional. Okay? What you're doing is you're sending it out, I get it, and we want the community's input. I get it 100%. But I believe it should be optional. As a board member, I believe it should be optional. Okay, if you make it optional, if you send out the survey, it's going to be either way, one way or the other. But if it's optional, people that want a mask are going to mask. The ones that don't want a mask, or their kids or their parents don't want them to mask, is not going to mask. So I don't understand why we have to make it into a vague, just make it optional.
Maybe, well, because you have to kind of see how the community feels, not just how, you may think you know, but when it's private, maybe they'll have a different answer. And it's a completely different world in elementary because they don't have the choice to be vaccinated. And I feel like some parents, everyone's going to be honest with this, and you may be surprised by the answers because we kind of know what our circles think and like how we kind of think. We may get survey results and 70% of the parents say, I'm not comfortable being unmasked with elementary children. You really have to take that into consideration because they don't have other choices. If we're not offering remote and they're not offered a vaccine, you really do have to think hard about the elementary. Because you do have some children that have asthma and have lung issues that, yes, they may wear a mask, but they're little. Are they gonna wear it properly? And if you have a whole thing of unmasked people and we don't have air conditioning, air is not circulated, that's a big burden to put on a family that maybe the community doesn't want. If they say if it's the other number, it's the other number, but I feel like if we at least get the data to support, then we know for sure that's how the community feels.
And that's why the survey is broken down by schools as well.
Yeah.
Because if the high school and the junior high come out resounding, optional, if you're old enough, the elementary comes back. I promise you that is a strong consideration on my part, but I at least want to hear what the public has to say about this.
And I agree, whenever the public is included, I just feel that that helps us as a board.
They feel they're important,
Yeah.
and they're expressing their voices.
But they are important when they make that decision, if they want to mask or not mask. That's important. That's giving the parents the right and to say yes or no.
And I do say on the survey two things. One, the survey is 100% anonymous. They don't collect, I don't want your child's name. Please don't give me your child's name. Your last name, I don't want any of that. I just want to know cold hard truth. And secondly, that is not the only component that's going to come into any kind of decision making. So those are the two kind of caveats.
Okay. All right, so we are going to move into public comment. Just a reminder that there is a 3-minute time limit on each individual public comment. I am going to read one that I got it through email first, and then I have a couple that have asked to speak as well. This is from Ashley. Hold on, now let me go back to the email. Ashley Flukting. I thought she was Flukting. It's maybe German. Okay. Here we go. Good evening. I wanted to speak tonight about how we will return to school in the fall. I know there are lots of different opinions of how this should be handled and that you have a large task weighing all the options. I usually go with the flow, but I feel very strongly about this and I would be remiss if I did not speak up. I believe we should make masks optional. First, people are going on vacation to places without any restrictions like Florida and coming back and we remain healthy. Second, both of my sons played baseball and t-ball without masks on and no one got sick. I can count on one hand how many people I saw at the baseball, t-ball, softball fields with masks on. And that season started in April and just ended the last week of June. If there was going to be a problem, then while the vast majority of Beecher and the surrounding areas are intermingling maskless for 2 months, we would have seen it. Also, most of the kids in this town have been running around their neighborhoods and the parks for the majority of this pandemic with each other without masks on. And we have not had a spike. If it was a problem, we would already be witnessing it. Thirdly, I know everyone's household is different, but for the majority of our town, it is parents and their children. We don't have multi-generational families where a lot of our children would have to worry about spreading any germs to a vulnerable grandparent. I understand there may be some, but it is not the majority. This may be different in large cities, but our little town should not be treated as though we have the same demographics. There are many inconsistencies with what we are told about the effectiveness of masks, how the virus affects children, and how masks may or may not be negatively impacting children's lungs and breathing capacity. I know my oldest would come home daily with headaches after we went back to full-time school. My oldest even stopped riding the bus because it was an extra 40 minutes both ways that he had to wear it. I understand you have to take into consideration all the families here, but I know there are many people who feel the same way as I do, which is why I felt the need to speak up. Thank you for your time. And thank you, Ashley. Okay, Melanie, would you like to go next? Sure. Just state your name and where you're from, address, feature.
Melanie Brennenstall, and I live at 202 Miller Street. I have 3 kids at the elementary school, and I want to.
You're the one I talked to.
I just want to first say that I'm very glad that the decision-making for our school is back in our district and we're not at the mercy of the state anymore. So with that being said, I don't believe that it's the school's job to tell me what's best for my child when it comes to masks. I think everyone has read extensively, watched news extensively on masking and has come to their own conclusions. And so if we are even considering mandating it again, I want to know what hard scientific research, facts, data are behind it to support it, and how effective they are. There's kids wearing all different types of masks that have varying degrees of effectiveness, and I don't think that just blanketing masks, again, is really going to change our environment once school starts this year. So if we don't have those answers, if we haven't looked at the effectiveness of masks, of the results of wearing them versus not wearing them, then we should not be forcing children to wear them. I'm sure that any teacher can tell you, whether our district, any district, how kids wear them improperly. They play with them, they mess with them, they end up on the floor. My kids have come home with their masks that I think they just like stepped on the whole way to school. And what kind of protection is that offering then? Those masks, medical masks, cloth masks, they're not supposed to be worn for 6-8 hours. Are you going to have them change their masks like they are recommended to? I mean, it hasn't happened, it didn't happen last year, so I just don't have much confidence in the masks, obviously,
1 minute left.
Personally. I'm sorry?
1 minute.
1 minute left.
Yep.
And then please consider what we're trading. We are trading COVID safety for other things that these children are now facing, including anxiety from wearing these masks, social issues, the bacteria that sits in masks, respiratory issues with these young children. And so every parent should be able to decide what is best for their kids, whether it's the vaccine, whether it's the masks. And to reiterate, Ashley, all summer we have been in this community. People are not wearing masks. Kids are playing. They're at sporting events. We're talking about not masking at sporting events. Why would we do that at school? Why are we denying our kids the opportunity to move past this pandemic and get back to normal? For what? Thank you. So I think that everyone should be able to decide what is best for their child, because me not sending my kids with a mask is not taking away from you sending your kids with a mask. That's it.
Thank you so much, I appreciate
Yep.
it. Thank you for understanding the time. Okay.
I was trying that.
I know, you did great, you did great. Okay, Ms. Weissel.
Okay, Carla Weissel, Beecher, Illinois. I want to address comments made by the board president at the Facilities Committee meeting on June 16, 2021. I questioned the relationship between unions and decisions being made by the board when the board president / facilities chairperson had received union money for her campaign. The board president's response did not address the questions. Rather, time was spent personally attacking me as quote-unquote slanderous, etc. Something is not slanderous if it is true. Furthermore, I would like to address a recent post on social media from one of the board president's relatives who also attacked me. Thankfully, a person with access to the site forwarded the message. I would certainly like to respond to social media comments now. However, like many of the social media posts this past year, I have been blocked by individuals who prefer to cower and hide behind their computer screens. Going back to the Facilities Committee meeting on June 16, 2021, at 48 minutes into the Facilities Committee meeting, the board president indicated that she was going to consult, quote unquote, and involve, quote unquote, community stakeholders. Who are these individuals? My questions that also weren't addressed: why haven't you been recusing yourself on union issues? And do you plan to recuse yourself on future union issues? The taxpayers of Beecher should know if firms bidding on businesses for the school district have any personal relationship with board members. And if so, it goes without question, those individuals should recuse themselves from the process. Thank you.
And I will respond with exactly what I said I was going to respond with, which is I already answered that question in facilities meeting, and I will ask you to respect the board. Okay, are there any public comments? Oh, did you want to put one?
Adriana Shango, 250 Maple. I personally care less if we're wearing masks or not, I'm gonna be honest. I've been teaching summer school, my kids have been wearing masks. I have air conditioning, but all the kids are wearing them, they have no issues, I don't know, so whatever. Y'all decide. But I do want some questions or at least ideas. For that parent survey, I think Ms. Belt, you brought up a really good point. Could there be a question about home health issues? there are a lot of multi-generational families, actually. We're one, I know a lot of people who do, but I also know a lot of kids with siblings with health issues. And so a parent may choose not to vaccinate or not to wear a mask, personally, but would feel better in a setting like a school if their child has an illness or allergies, where they just can't get the vaccine. So maybe the whole household is vaccinated, but that kid can't get that vaccine because he's got severe allergies. So they would prefer a mask because they can't be remote now anymore. So I guess if it's anonymous and a parent, you don't say like what it is, but like, do you have any home issues with health? That way you can see why people are making those decisions, especially at the elementary. Like junior and high school, you know, there's gonna be a set of vaccinations, but the elementary, they don't have that choice yet medically to make it. And that might drive a parent to say, hey, I would want my kid in a mask, because I know of kids with illnesses that, like even at work, I know kids that have cancers or whatever, and that family's gonna make a different decision because of that reason, which we want to keep all the kids safe. Yes, we're here to make our own decisions as a family, but I also have to think of my community, and my neighbors matter to me, and if my neighbor has an illness, I'm going to do what I need to do to protect their child as well, because they mean something to me. The other 3 questions, and you guys might get to it, I don't know if the state has said it, are the quarantine going to change if there is a COVID issue or contact? Like what are going to be the protocols for vaccinated, not vaccinated? Is there one? Like IHSA with the rules on the masks for spectators and players. I know we keep hearing different things, so if whenever y'all know, we know. And the last one is the bell schedule. Are we going back to that 8 to 3? Are they doing it shorter? Like, just because. So whenever that becomes available, let us know. Because we all know that things happen last minute.
Okay. All right, and those questions will get answered. Did you want to comment any of that?
If you'd like me to follow up on my reopening plan. Bell schedules are back to normal school day, so it's going to be, I would say, the high school a lot better, 8:05 to 2:57. Junior high is 5 minutes earlier than both of those. Elementary is 5 minutes after all of those. IHSA events, I said that last month that if it's everything outdoor is 100% maskless. I believe they have indoor vaccinated, doesn't have to have a mask, and I believe it's the same caveat. It is the option of the school in terms of.
Wear a mask when they run.
Nope. And then there was a third question within there. I should have remembered, but I didn't remember. Quarantine. Again, that's. I did say that it's part of the mitigations that we might be able to address in time.
Yes.
But if the first mitigation I'm going to address is masking, I can't do masking in quarantine. However, quarantine is going to be at 3 feet, not 6. And so, and as of right now, quarantine is still. If you're within 3 feet, you're quarantined. However, if you're vaccinated, so this works for 12 and up, if you're vaccinated or if you have an antibody test, you can actually get out of quarantine. So, but you will have to prove that vaccination with our nurse.
We'll be talking about, okay. Okay.
Can I just ask a question regarding that? If we're not doing remote, how are you going to teach the kids in quarantine?
Great question. So they still by law have to, well, if the law says if they're 12 or older, they just make it up when they get back. But the remote option is going to be like an old school. You're going to miss the next 5 days. Here's the 5 days of work, and we'll catch you up when you get back. That's why we're really looking to hopefully lift that mitigation as soon as we can.
Is the quarantine time still 10 days?
I believe it's still 1410 for the positive case. So, but again, that's one of the, I need IDPH to give me a little bit of
And
guidance.
that they haven't said too much about that yet. Remember, we still have a month still.
Right.
So much can change by then even.
But it's coming up quick.
Yeah. Okay, so Dr. Gaham, would you like to?
Oh,
we have another.
public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. And I forgot to ask on the phone as well. So sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay. Okay. And please state your name and where you live.
Kelly Bent, and I live in Beecher in the rural area. And in talking about the reopening, some of the things that are really important are the maintenance of freedom for every family to be able to make their own decisions for each family. This is supposed to be America, where we do have some personal freedoms. Also, to ensure that the school district does not have medical discrimination, that anybody that decides not to, for whatever private reason they want to not have a vaccination, they shouldn't be discriminated against. Obviously, voting for mass choice. The disruptive quarantine. Quarantining a child to their room for 14 days is child abuse. I don't care who you are and what you say. I don't care how old the child is. If they are allowed to go from their room or their room to a bathroom, and those are the only rooms they're allowed to use for 14 days, that is child abuse. There's no other explanation for it. Because I'm an essential worker, whenever my child has contact, I end up having to get a test, and my test comes back negative every single time. My child has to get tested, their test comes back negative, and then they are still stuck in that room for 10 days, basically under house arrest in what I consider a very abusive situation. We don't do that to prisoners, and yet our expectation is that children of all ages should have to live under that.
Just so you know, 1 minute remaining.
Okay. Some things that are more dangerous than COVID to children: cancer, vehicle accidents, suicide. The anxiety from wearing masks, the anxiety from this whole COVID situation is incredibly high. In Illinois, the suicide rate is higher than the death from COVID rate. It's more than 2 times. Homicide, cardiovascular disease, drowning, yet everyone's allowed to make their own decisions on whether they have a pool or not, and pneumonia are higher in risk than COVID. So when we're looking at the risk-reward situation of wearing masks, not wearing masks, doing this whole mitigation for our children, this was not for our children. The science does not back it up. I have lots and lots and lots of data.
15 seconds.
I'm also looking for, if anyone has student-to-teacher transmission, I'm looking for it. I have not been able to find that many worldwide. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. All right, are there any public comments on the phone?
No, there are people connected, but none of them have their hand raised.
Okay. If you do, raise your hand or unmute.
Star 9
Star 9 is to unmute.
is to raise your hand.
Is to raise your hand. Anybody?
Not at this time.
Bueller? Okay. Thank you. All right, then now we can have Dr. Gaham introduce a couple companies that we have received information back after the RFP. We appreciate you coming.
Absolutely, thank you, President. Our first company up is GRP. There are 3 representatives back here. I believe they have a handout. A handout, okay, so they don't need the TV computer. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for telling me what they did. See you in my office tomorrow, buddy.
Is it okay if we move?
100%.
Come on in.
Thank you.
Stand over here or stand?
I would stand in the middle if you would.
Okay. Everybody received their handout?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Are you okay?
You want to stand those up too?
No, those are good. You guys okay with me starting?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, thank you very much for allowing us to come in. Again, we are GRP Wegman, and we are actually here to talk a little bit about what we presented to you guys in the request for proposal response for heating and air conditioning solutions for your elementary and your high school. So kind of what we're going to go over is just very briefly who we are, performance contracting in general, determine the district's needs, heating and ventilation, and then the Illinois history for GRP Wegman. And ideally, any questions you guys might have, because I think you guys will have given the proposal, the abbreviated version hopefully, and the really long version if you have time to get through the entire long version. So kind of just starting, I'm actually on the who GRP Wegman is. Just an introduction of each one of us, and we'll each introduce ourselves. But my name is Scott Engstrom. I'm actually the business development representative of GRP Wegman. Been doing this for 16 years. Actually used to be a project manager, so I actually used to implement projects. Performance contracting is kind of, it's all I've really done since I graduated from college. My father's a retired superintendent. It was great to hear the Irish Invitational. My father was actually the person that started the Irish Invitational. They've got bad discus, so it wasn't on her. It was better when I went there. They rearranged the track. I know what she was dealing with. But again, performance contracting, working with school districts is what I've done my entire career. And now I'll turn it over to Bob Fogarty to do a quick introduction of themselves.
So I'm Bob Fogarty. I'm the Vice President of the Performance Contracting Division. I've been doing performance contracting for almost 25 years now, and mostly working 99% in the K-12 market space, mechanical engineer. I actually started out my engineering design career at McDonnell Douglas, which is now Boeing, and I worked in facilities. And by the time I left there, I was in charge of 2 million square foot in the day-to-day operations. I have a passion for implementing practical engineering and maintainable systems, and I love working with school districts.
Hello, I'm Matt Keller. I'm the Senior Solution Development Engineer for GRP Wegman. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've been through hundreds of buildings, similar to yours, niche is the K-12 market. I actually started in, similar to Bob, in an industrial plant in Mallinckrodt Pharmaceutical, downtown St. Louis. I actually carried tools, went through a trades program, and finished my engineering school later on. So very excited to share our findings for your buildings tonight.
Thank you. So who is GRP Wegman? There's a lot of bullets there. It's more of a leave behind. There's just a couple that I want to hit. We're a 68-year-old company. We're family owned and operated. We're not reporting up to a huge structure, so a very flat organization that's been doing this for many, many years. We have in-house, as you met, some engineers, project management. That's who's involved in these projects. Our business layer is a lot flatter than a lot of other organizations. As you can see, we've got our vice president. He's been through your building, seen your building as well. He's part of everything because we are a very flat organization. We all are brainstorming and growing together as we look at each building. We do go a lot. We're hoping you do ask some questions about your buildings because we've been through them. We even came early tonight because some of the building we saw in drawings because you were doing your asbestos abatement. It allowed us to see those parts of the buildings today just to make sure the drawings were in line with what we thought, because drawings are drawn, but there's also the reality, so it was great to get in there and see that. We're into long-term strategic plans, so we're not here just to give you a solution that's going to work. We're working with you guys. You know, here's our ideas, here's why we have these ideas. If you've got something else, let's talk about it, and let's come up with a long-term strategic plan. And then over 58% of our clients have done multiple phases with us. That's something we're very proud of because it does go to show that we're part of a team when we're working with them. And some do it over 5-6 years, some do it over 2 years, and we've had clients come back 8 years later and do another phase with us. So then I just want to talk a little bit about performance contracting because I don't know how much you guys have really been explained about it, but there's some key things for me that I think make a lot of sense, and this is why when I went into this business and talked to my father and asked him why he did a performance contract, some of the key reasons he had was that there is no change orders in performance contracting. So we've presented you guys 2 options with pricing, and we can move forward with those 2 options if you so chose for us to move forward with those exactly how they are. However, we can also adjust that if you want an adjustment. But before we ever sign a contract with you guys, we'll know exactly what you're doing, exactly how much it's going to cost, and if we come across anything, there's no change orders through the process. Again, you also don't spend any money until we actually get to a contract. So any of the engineering, which we've had engineers walk through your building, any of the pricing, we've had contractors, it hasn't cost you guys anything, and it won't cost you anything until you actually get to a contract. I one time had a client that actually it took 3 years from when we went to this stage to actually do a project. because as you know, the state does some interesting things with your funding, and they put them in a bind, and it took 3 years until they were able to get some additional grant money to be able to do a project. And then that guarantee of actually how it's going to operate after the fact. I know you guys know you have some humidity issues and some 2000 additions that I think you've been fighting maybe since 2000. We actually guarantee the operation of these things, and we're back to make sure that everything is functional. We're not just disappearing. So now we get into the parts that I think are the most interesting for you guys, and I'll turn it over to Matt, and he's going to talk about what he saw in your building, both buildings actually, and kind of what his suggestions are.
I have a few slides here, so I'm on slide 6 for those of you who are following. And I really, first of all, want to thank Dr. Gaham and Mr. Stanula for putting up with me along with the front office. We dive in pretty hard, getting bills and different things, finding information, drawings, that sort of thing, so thank you. Our team spent quite a bit of time going through your buildings, studying the building concepts, the existing drawings to understand the best solutions. We feel we do have the best solutions, so something right off the bat in this slide, both your buildings, the high school facility as well as elementary, are very, very similar. They have steam heat, older steam piping in tunnels, minimal air conditioning, minimal ventilation, proper ventilation that meets code. So we used this slide as to combine both buildings. Something significant within this is that if you need to, in order to add proper ventilation and air conditioning, you're going to need an electrical upgrade, okay, at both facilities. So that increases that cost to do so. On this page, you see there's some issues with piping already you're having, and you'll continue to have that, right? And the steam and condensate. The electrical upgrade switch gear is in the middle here. And then you have some humidity issues in your buildings, especially at the elementary school and the lower level. We have addressed all that in our solutions. If you flip to the following page, we look at the high school. And as you can see on this page, we have an example of our high efficiency concept. We have it laid out and designed, okay, preliminary design laid out here. Our high efficiency systems, right now your buildings are running on an average of 82 cents a square foot, okay, and that's for heating only with minimal air conditioning and hardly any ventilation. We can typically get you to that point with the right choices with our high efficiency systems with both heating, cooling, and ventilation. We've done it in the past. We get Energy Star rating for these systems that we put in. We also add a non-proprietary control for your system. So non-proprietary meaning you can have upkeep on your own. You don't have to rely upon an independent controls company. They don't lock you down with a contract. Of course, the new electrical main in high school, you have 1,600 amp capacity right now. We would have to put a 2,500 amp capacity in to make it viable to serve the proper air conditioning and ventilation.
One of the things Matt said, I want to say in a different way. Our anticipation for the results in both these buildings is that utility cost, total dollars spent today, are not going to go up, and the building is going to be fully air conditioned and ventilated. And what that means is the electrical is going to go up a little bit, but the gas is going to go down significantly. Right. Your heating plants are incredibly inefficient, and typically we save some, but at this point we're willing to say that it's going to be no more than it presently is. We've had school districts where it's another 5 or 10% below where it is now, and your air conditioning. Some of that depends on how you choose to operate the building. Some districts in the summer, they are very organized in how they wax floors. They're going to run the air conditioning in this wing when they're waxing it. They shut it off and they move on. Of course, they always leave the air conditioning off in the superintendent's office to save all that extra money. But so that last 10%, it's your decision on how you operate your facility. But we're very confident in where you're at energy-wise and in what we can achieve.
Yeah, well said, Bob. So on the next slide is the elementary school. Typically the same thing here. It's kind of redundant, okay? It's the same high efficiency concept, okay? So just to explain it a little bit more, same as the high school, you have, at the elementary school, you have multiple editions, right? Multiple, like 6 different editions from 1962 all the way, or 1930, 62, 65, 66, 68, all the way through. So we have accommodated a high-efficiency system, and then we're also, most cost-effective for the 2000 edition, is to keep the hot water distribution you've already invested money in, okay? We're going to add a DX cooling split to those systems. So you're benefiting from the existing system you have for the 2000 edition at the high school and at the elementary school. The humidity, again, that's resolved with our solutions, and the electrical main there is interesting. When you put an electrical main in there, you put on the 2000 edition, they put another 800 amp service there. So there's actually two services that combine are 1600 amp, which is large enough for the facility, but it has to be modified and upgraded in order to meet the proper wiring. And you also have a condition there where you have five meters, right? You pay a service for each meter, you know, and so that can be a cost saving. So we do not have pricing in there for that, but we're willing to work with you on that as well. We've identified it. So I'm going to hand it over to Bob. He's going to explain some of the advantages of what we do in our solutions.
I guess before we jump, like, any questions, because really that's sort of the meat of what you asked us to look at, and where the improvement is. So we're putting in very high efficient equipment. It's very maintainable, so you're not going to have somebody drive 2 hours from Chicago or whatever through traffic to get here to help you maintain something. Locally, within your community or within your staff, most of this stuff will be able to be maintained relatively easily. And we try to reuse as much of the infrastructure that was the 2000 edition. The hot water piping in that section of the building there's no reason not to try to reuse that. And so we've tailored that into our design to sort of bring you the best value, you know. And I think that's what's unique about the team of engineers that work for GRP. We're not looking to try to make this the most grandiose, complex thing that you're going to need help with. It is the KISS method, keep it simple. I don't want to say the last one. but there's a lot of logic to that, because in school districts, there's a lot of transition. You know, custodians, maintenance staff, superintendents, there's always people changing. And the simpler you can make those systems, the better they perform over a long period of time.
So my question about the electrical service. So are you saying that is involved in the price, that is included?
Yes.
Did you guys consult ComEd for the changeover to higher with it, or do you just know what that would be? Like, can our system handle it, basically?
Yeah, we work with ComEd quite often. In fact,
Okay.
we're doing a project about an hour and a half from here. In ComEd, typically when you upgrade a service, there is no charge for that.
Right,
And so, yes, we work partner.
So we can handle it in the area. Like, that's one thing we worry about too, being on the grid, you know, like how that would
Yeah, we're not talking about doubling or tripling the size.
Right.
It's incrementally a little bit more, certainly within our expectations. We're not going to have any concern there.
Okay.
Right.
What does this do to the panels? Like, I know that we have some obsolete panels. And if you're upgrading, are you replacing those, or what does that do?
In the initial incoming service, we would have to make that larger. So let's say there was a 1200 amp incoming service, or 1600, I'm sorry, and it's going up to 25. We would put another 25 amp incoming service. That would be the first thing that comes from the transformer. That's Con-Ed's, at least at one of the buildings. The other buildings, it might be your transformers that are in at the high school.
We do, yeah.
From the northwest
end. The district probably owns those transformers. In any event, that switchgear gets replaced, and we backfeed the existing switchgear.
Okay.
Similar to what's been done in the past. When they added the 2000 addition to the high school, they added a new service entrance at that point, and they backfed the older service as such.
Yes.
Holistically, we're not saying that we're going through the whole building and replacing all the electrical. We're upgrading it. That needs to be. We're going to put some surplus in there so that it's not so tight.
Yes.
And then we're going to feed the new HVAC equipment power with all new conduits along that line.
So what you're saying is, I heard you say the grid.
I mean,
I hope the grid can hold it. But
no, I know, but we have some issues with ours that we just did some extra work in features so that we didn't have power outages. It's okay.
But what you're saying is we just need to upgrade our grid here.
to the building.
To the
Your
building,
main,
and then
that's correct.
everything is going.
It's like taking your house, if you had an old house and maybe you had a 100 amp panel and you put additions on it and now you need a 200 amp panel. You do that and now you got enough power for that addition that you put on the, you know, the man cave or
I just wanted
whatever.
to make sure that when she said grid, that we're talking about, we're just updating
It's-
electric here for it.
Yes, it's within the site of the building and normally right by the boiler room.
So we backfeed existing, and then our new is added to the new equipment that goes on.
Okay.
And then you have a little extra capacity for future, so you have
Okay.
extra break.
So my other question, you guys said that like you stand by it. Like, do you have any third-party commissioning agents that come in after the fact on any of your projects? Or has that even been a suggestion?
So third party to validate the energy savings?
To validate like the functionality of the system?
We haven't been asked by a customer to do that. Typically, we would, you know, do the testing, balancing, and that's all part of it.
Yeah.
But we're not opposed to
Yeah,
the
but
district having.
people haven't had to or had any
No,
issue?
no.
Okay.
Well, we do it ourselves in
Okay.
essence, you know, similar to like our analysis or our audit. It's pretty much a level 3 audit that you're
Awesome.
getting, you know, so you're
Okay.
getting the commissioning through, in the price you have,
Okay.
initial commissioning. It's
Yeah.
not an official commissioning report. Now,
Yeah.
we can absolutely do that for you if
Okay.
you'd like.
Okay, so that's in there. Okay, great.
And one quick thing, when you guys said you guys went through, we have what it takes for whatever you guys are proposing in that. We already have it here.
Have what?
When you say the equipment that you just were talking about, we have everything that we just need. We just need lighting and stuff like that. Is that correct?
I'm sorry. I'm
No, I'm bad too, but we have everything in our pricing is turnkey.
It's turnkey.
For you. It's all the equipment, all the piping, all the material,
The
everything.
engineering, the project management, that
nothing
number in the chart is a turnkey.
Yes.
We're all in.
One-stop shop.
Absolutely.
Now,
Yep,
is-
one call to us. That's
Is
it.
there a reason the junior high is not in your bid to add AC here in this building?
In
The
the actual RFP, the only request was for the high school and
the elementary
elementary.
Because the other one has junior high too. This one doesn't.
The other,
RFP.
Other proposal?
Yeah.
Okay.
How did they get?
So the RFP would said with the possibility of adding junior
Okay,
high.
I was just curious. I know that was big because.
That's a good question. So in either case, either group that we went with, we would still have, because it's in the RFP, we would then have a right to use the same company to move forward with the junior high. We wouldn't have to create a new RFP, we wouldn't have to go through all the process again. So because it was included in the RFP originally, if GRP is the group you went with, even though they didn't provide this, we could then say, all right, now that we have this project done, what's it gonna take for air conditioning here? And so
This is
it-
all ready for it here.
No, then it's.
Yeah.
the level of detail would be the same that we would provide for this building. For, yeah,
And
absolutely.
this building would be a heck of a lot more, say, cost-effective to do it.
Yes.
Right.
Because if it's set up for air conditioning, it'd be a lot easier to do it. And the fact that it's, I mean,
Your newest
this has got to be
facility.
like a 15 or 18-year-old building.
2007, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it'd be a lot more cost-effective to implement something here.
Yeah.
Because especially if they prepared for adding air conditioning in the future.
Sure.
So
Okay.
hitting on about this one slide here, Bob, you gonna hit that? or
Yeah,
go
the next slide, it says HVAC design advantages. Some of this I've kind of touched on, but I'll just kind of try to do a summary. I lead an experienced team of engineers that go into buildings daily and try to figure out the best way to help make improvements to the education environment. That's temperature, that's ventilation, that's indoor air quality. And I think we do a great job of being able to do that. And I call it practical engineering more than theoretical or book smart or whatever. We do a great job. Since we're a mechanical contractor, we end up maintaining these systems when they're closer to our office. Our expectation is you're going to have a local entity that you love to work with. We want to pull them in our process towards the end of the installation with your maintenance staff and walk them through the buildings, educate them on how to maintain the systems we're putting in and the control systems, and get that, because the better buy-in that your maintenance staff and your community that's going to help you support this get involved with that part of it, the better the solution is going to be for you as a district.
And we have local people, by the way, okay, that's 15 minutes from here.
I
that
just
we're
noticed
working.
because you're located out of Naperville, but yet you have two downstate numbers.
That's
So
correct.
that's why I was like,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So we've got people, a lot of places, I suppose, but our service organization is fairly far away from here, and it wouldn't be practical for our service organization to help us.
Self-perform, yeah.
Our designs are really focused on high efficiency. The heating systems that we're talking about, whichever type or whatever, are all 96%, where literally you're probably below 60% on your heating right now. The air conditioning side, we're in Sears above 14, and they can even go higher at times. I'll stress it again, maintainability and long life. We focus on that because these buildings are going to be with you for probably another 40, 50, 60 years. These are, you know, nobody said anything about the high school being temporary and you're going to be in there 5 years. So we're looking for the long term for you, and you're going to be in there for a long term. Matt said it, but we kind of understand you probably, at least we've got some feedback from certain individuals within your organization that control systems are something that you've been burnt by and you want to have a lot of capability. The beauty about us is we are going to let you decide what control system. We'll bring you 3 or 4 companies to talk with, sit down with. We'll try to minimize the controls as much as we can to a point that it's logical and practical, and you can have some remote access, but you don't have to go grandiose and crazy, and it costs you a lot in the future.
We're vendor neutral when it comes to controls, so we've done like 3 or 4 different control manufacturers and companies that we work with, so we can lay it out for you however you would like. So we're also vendor neutral on equipment.
Okay.
So
the vendor neutral meaning if we, let's say you like Carrier and there's a Carrier rep here, we'll put Carrier or something else. The other thing is that we tried to do in the options chart is to show flexibility. You know, one is cost drives decisions in a lot of ways. We realized that you really wanted to replace everything, but there's always a threshold. So we tried to break out like the boilers, which you could live long for a few years. If 70% of the system's taken off the boilers and you have 2 and it's only serving the 2000 edition, you should be able to live a long ways for that without having to do that. Ideally, you would do it now because of the efficiency if you could afford it. Same thing with the demolition. You look at demolition as, well, do we just look at it to minimally do what we need to get this implemented? Or do we take a holistic approach? In between those 2 items, you've got over $500,000 of difference in those are the type of things we need your input to build this project. And we don't know the answers to those. Those are things that you have to give us feedback to.
we've laid it out in options, in our options chart for that solution. And then the other important thing is what Bob's explained, what we're talking about today, very, very important, is the technical approach within our proposal. Please, if you haven't read it, please read it. We take pride in digging in, and we listed everything in your facilities to show you that we've gone through this.
So the next slide, is this little chart of Illinois. So if you look at this, Scott said it once, I'll say it again. Close to 60% of these customers have done at least 2 phases with us. There's some of these customers that have done over 5 phases with us. Redbud, Illinois, I'm working on the 6th phase down there. They were an early adopter that I've been working with for years. So there's a track record that we would, Earlville's one that we're doing this summer. We're doing like a $4.5 million project at Earlville, and they're already talking about the 2nd phase with us down there for additional stuff to construct some new buildings for them. So it's very, there's a lot of customer references that are available to you. In the big proposal, there's contact names and numbers. We'd love for you to go to a site visit, maybe to Earlville or something. That's in particular, so it's relatively close, but it's some of the same systems we implemented there that we're recommending for your high school and for your elementary. So there might be, we could set up a site visit or something.
It is similar in respect of the solution, right, the HVAC. So two key things. Very, very simple to maintain. Okay, most everyone in the refrigeration HVAC business can maintain our high efficiency systems. The other key concept of this solution is that it is not a central plant system. So that's key, right? Because when a chiller fails, it's the whole facility, right? When a boiler central plant fails, it's the whole facility. It is not with our solution. It might, if one system goes down, you might have 1 or 2 rooms. It's not the entire facility, and it's high efficiency. So that's key to understand and also to maintain. Because a central plant system, you have to have experienced, high qualified people to work on a 250-ton chiller and a larger boiler system. So just wanted to note that.
Sort of the last point on this map thing is right now we have over 30 projects going on this summer alone. We're going to turn over $40 million worth of renovations in schools this summer in 12 weeks. It's crazy. And it's beautiful. I mean, and everything's, I just traveled and saw 4 buildings yesterday and today, and we're doing it. Our smallest project is the 4th phase at Signal Hill. It's $100,000. It's a restroom renovation. It's simple, okay? But we've got a long-term strategic plan with them. This is something they've wanted to do. They finally got the funds. They got a $50,000 maintenance grant last year, had a plan. We're implementing it this summer. Not a big deal. The biggest project we have going on right now is $11 million. It's at Polo School District. We're renovating 2 buildings, almost completely gutting them. All new HVAC, new ceilings, new, you name it, we're doing it in those buildings. And then the 3rd building, we're just replacing all the windows on it. So
you go into school districts then too? It's not just for HVAC, you go in and you can look through everything for strategic planning?
So I've got a window crew. We do anything.
A lot of times, one thing can affect the other.
Yeah.
So we don't want to spend good money after bad, right? So we don't want to tell you, hey, we're going to put new HVAC in, and then 2 years later, you got to rip the ceiling out and change the light.
Right.
We do the heat load calc, and okay, if you're going to do it, hey, do the lighting, so we adjust the heat load, okay, and then have the right size.
And for the future, because that's something we're looking at as well. I mean, do you see a lot of work that you can line up?
I think there's other things that we can bring value and help you direct, even if you want to self-perform them. We're not opposed to, assisting. In my mind, the better you spend your money, even if we're not involved, the more money that'll come around for the project that we can be involved in. So we like creating those partnerships. To give you a quick example, that Earlville project, it's got asbestos abatement, it has restroom renovation, it has roofing, it has window replacement, new ceilings, new lighting, new HVAC, new electrical distribution systems.
New cabinetry, new ceilings, new lights.
So they basically went on a bond and went with it?
They had a bond fall off because they built in 2000.
Yep.
And they had a bond come off, and it was an opportunity for them to now readdress everything that they had to ignore while they were paying off that bond. And to Bob's point, even, get districts involved. One of them that was in there that Matt talked about is we gave you 2 options on that options chart. But really X's can move here and there. Like one of the options was full demo of like the cabinetry, basically retiling, repainting the walls, filling in the holes. Another option was to not do that. We didn't put that in option B, the more expensive option, but you could take that down. And that's around $100,000 that's in there. And, Earlville, for example, is doing that. They're having us put in the PUVs, leaving the radiators, leaving some of that, and they're going to do that by taking 5 classrooms a year and doing it in-house. Okay. And then they're going to patch the wall. And I think I brought a picture just because I wanted you guys to really understand how clean it can look until you guys get a chance to get to it. But that's how clean it can look, because this is a radiator in this situation. Used to run all the way to the wall. And you guys have some shelving and cabinetry that runs all against the wall. This shows you how we can tie it in so that you can keep the cabinetry if you want, or you can demo it yourself over a period of time, but it doesn't look like a construction zone until you do it yourself.
Did you see that? I want Joe's.
I can pass it
to give Joe.
Gotcha. Well, jump on up here. I know, right? You've got some good ones. But the advantage is, they want to take care of those radiant heats and paint some rooms on their own, and they hire some high school students, and they get involved. They didn't want to spend, the expense of having the professional contractors because they feel they can do some of this in-house. And you guys may feel the exact same way, so that's where we like to, okay, is there somewhere you'd like to do something because we can back off? your local HVAC contractor is part of something that you want him to do, we can do that. Like another one at Polo is they have us doing internet upgrade to fiber. Well, it turns out that their IT person has an outsourced, and he's doing the fiber upgrade, because who's better to do that than the person that actually knows the building in and out? So we're actually hiring him as his contractor, because he's an independent contractor too, to do the fiber. So that's where there's some strategic alliances that feedback from you guys makes a lot of sense to us, and we'll get them involved.
And normally your projects are done during the summer?
We have
Normally, but we've done projects, a lot of projects will start early, like March, April, to do stuff on second shift or in the boiler room, outside of the education spaces, based on the district's allowance of that to occur.
Under your discretion. If you will allow us to do it, we're willing.
I'll give you an example. Reagan Middle School over in Dixon. We installed the windows starting in October at second shift, and we installed that whole building despite the weather. We got it done just before Christmas, and we were working second shift. And so we'll work where you'll allow us to work, and we actually kind of like working non-summer because we just keep our crafts busy, and if we can stay out of your way, it's somewhat more cost effective at times.
Sure.
Christmas break's always a big one. We can get it and get a lot done as well.
I'm sure.
What about material availability with the COVID crunch and construction being the way it is? Materials are scarce. What's your...
I will tell you that it's been one of the most difficult summers for us. I will tell you that it significantly negatively affected a job or two, but the customer's not seeing it. And we had contracts signed before all the escalations, and the customers are not seeing that. I will tell you that the thing that I don't like the most is the fact that manufacturers are missing deadlines and not missing them by a week or two. We ordered some equipment that should have been here in June, and it's not here yet. And we're fighting to get it by the end of July, which puts a lot more pressure on us. But we're living to it. You know, we're finding different ways to take care of things. Just today, Lennox couldn't give me a coil. I was needing somewhere. I found an alternative way to do it. I purchased another coil, and the coil's going to be there at the end of this week. And we're going to keep our man. You can't build it if the materials aren't there. So it's a great question.
We're lucky we have enough contractors and vendors that we do enough business. Since we are vendor neutral, we just don't hold the one, so we're able to have workarounds so we can find other pieces of equipment and make it happen. But like Bob said, we have been challenged greatly. One good thing is you guys are ahead of the game, right? If you guys are looking at doing this next summer, maybe some things late fall, we're in a good position now to plan. You guys are in a good position to plan ahead and order your equipment.
But with that being said, and the nature of things, ideally we'd like to be in a situation where the contract's ratified before the end of this year, and we want to buy the equipment before the end of this year. We had one job that Matt was working on down in Southern Illinois. We purchased all the equipment 9 months ahead of time, and the customer was good with it. We asked them if it was okay, and we put that in storage. And this summer, anytime we needed it for the 3 buildings, we just pulled it out of storage and put it there, and it was no issue.
Yeah.
So we, whenever possible in this last 16-month period, we got a contract signed, we ordering that equipment the next day. And we're just right on top of it to get it, to stay ahead of it, because we know the importance of it. Any other questions? Well, thank you.
I know we'll have more. So that's the thing. Like we plan on having even a facilities meeting to even delve into it further, and financials committee meeting, and everything, because we have a lot of moving parts, but we're looking to get this together, and we have plans for this all, to be discussing all of this within the next month. So
reach out, any questions, you know how to reach me.
And if we wanted you to come to a facilities meeting, or would you be on?
Yeah.
Would that be a
We would
possibility?
love to, because we got so much more to go over and
Yeah,
much more
I know
time.
that there's so many
I-
specifics, you know, that we
Yeah.
would need to really look at. Okay.
Yeah,
We love that.
that's where you can get in, you know, to the nitty gritty,
Right.
where you say, you know what, I'd like you to take out the unit ventilators, but leave the shelving,
Right.
we'll deal with
And
that.
like, that's where I would like to sit down with Joe and
Yeah.
with Mike Stanula and
If
really
we have them
get
there,
into
then
that.
they can say, like, you know, Joe can say, yeah, you know what, I can handle that part of it, and I'll do
Yep.
that at this point.
Okay,
That'd be great.
awesome.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you
for the
so
opportunity.
much, we really appreciate it. Dr. Gainham will be reaching out. I'm not gonna say it like that every time.
I would.
Where's Bob? Apparently I'm only here for a little bit. Don't worry, the public heard you saying that, Bob.
I didn't say you were going to be here long. I just said it might get hot in your office.
Yeah, right? There you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go meet the other company if you guys are.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah.
You gave Joe.
Vendor list? Well, they would work with them.
Yes, he gave me, just so somebody sees that.
Oh.
Jim Joe's.
Did he go?
Yeah, with the.
Because I think he does all of our engagement.
He does. Yeah.
So that people know, so.
Yep, yep, yeah, he does, I'll make sure.
I'm gonna move my seat.
I can see everything. Ron can't see anything. In the corner.
It's on, this is Hallmark, it's on a card, so I think he's gonna.
I'm sorry?
It is on a card, I think.
Oh, okay.
No, he's not moving it. It's gonna be a.
Okay, turn it.
Is this one of the new things, the new TVs for your classroom too?
It's, they're
Hold on.
different a little
Make
bit
sure I'm
in
centered.
brand, but yeah, this is the size, 75
Hold on.
inch that's going
I'm so
in.
excited. I get one in my classroom. Is this touchscreen too, or no?
No.
This one is, are theirs
It
touchscreen?
depends on which classroom.
Okay.
A lot of it's decided by grade level, curriculum, packages, what they're going to do with them.
Okay.
So,
Remember the video card when like it was
Oh my
coming?
God.
This reminds me of, yeah, right, it's movie day.
Oh, you're so stoned.
I know, right? Yeah, I have Disney Plus for my classroom, everything. Oh my goodness.
Joe, I don't think this generation understands Channel 3. No.
Oh, God, but three.
I've seen his programs.
Do you want me to use the washroom fast?
That's it. They're having some quick back words. Okay, no.
I've got a teacher bladder.
It's trained.
Yep.
Out. Not out.
Yes, it's a big. I'm gonna be late.
New guy, they're gonna test the limits, that's the how it is.
Of course. I'm so sorry. That's not
You're going to be right on here. That's right.
I like the teacher's name because it works. This is real.
Just be real.
This is real.
He's good.
Those slides, yeah, some of them are right TVs.
Are they all in parts, or are they, some of them mounted?
They're all mounted.
Julie was just saying, remember the carts would roll up in school, we'd be like,
Best day ever.
oh, that's great.
Best day ever. And they were like little, like tiny little 27-inch TVs.
I know, right?
At the time. It was the best.
All right, I'd like to introduce Mr. Jim Kroll. He is from Precision, and he is here to talk about our RFP, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jim Kroll with Precision Control Systems. We're a local ESCO energy services company located in Griffith. I'm an account executive. I've worked with Jeff McCartney and Brad and hopefully now Jack a little bit in the district. And we'll get into some of that. With me tonight is Matt Ernst. Matt is a professional engineer, mechanical engineer. Together we've got over 40 years in the business. Unfortunately, I've got 30 of those. Tonight we want to, let's try to see if we can get this thing to...
There you go. There we
There we
go.
go. So,
Jim, do you want me to, since I'm closer, you just tell me when you want me to, I can do that for you.
it's a lot more. So Precision Control System's been around for going on 40 years. We're a...
Sorry, that's the wrong slide.
You can go one more.
You have a very
There we go.
sensitive mouth.
Okay, here we go.
We're part of a group called the Hill Group, and Hill Mechanical is in Franklin Park. They're a $400 million entity, so they're doing jobs not only universities and school districts such as yours, but buildings like John Hancock Center and the big time stuff. Sheet metal, piping, our fire systems, and we've got a great owner in having Hill on board with us. They've got over 70 professional engineers, and Matt's one of them, born of that system. So we were founded, I guess, 42 years ago. If you were to look at the south suburbs and the southwest suburbs of Chicagoland, we're in about 60% of those school districts doing control work, doing energy services work, and doing maintenance work. We have over 200 of those customers out there that are contracted customers. Go forward here a little bit. So just in our book, I don't know that you've seen everything in the book. In our book, we listed, I think you asked for 5 years worth of contracts. And so we gave a list of those several contracts. This is kind of a supplemental list, and you can see actually Beecher is one of our ESCO projects doing window systems at the 2 schools and roof systems, and then getting rid of those window units that you had in your classrooms, windows. Across the border, Hanover School, air conditioning their high school project. Downers Grove, Mark Stalin was his district. Worked with Hill Mechanical on that, a $11 million job. Homewood Flossmoor, Bremen Community High School District 218.
another $40, $50 million worth of work there. These are all projects that are usually summer projects that we've got 17 weeks in. We got to get the work done in 17 weeks, and we perform pretty well on that. Our record is we try to do that with 0 change orders, except for deduct change orders. If we gain on the cost level, then we can share that back to the district. There's another couple school districts there, Oak Park Schools, Rich Township. Indian Springs 109's been an interesting school district. We did 4 of their buildings, they added air conditioning to 4 of their buildings. So we've been there, we've done that. Let's go.
Yeah, I think before you jump on that, onto the next slide, I mean, the right-hand column is the years of service that we've been serving those schools, and a lot of times those are after our performance contracting work, which is usually major mechanical renovations, major projects, but also what kind of makes us different is being local, being able to provide service. We do the building automation controls and servicing those. So we have long-standing relationships with districts. If we were to do this project for you, we're not going anywhere. We're going to service, maintain it, we stand on board. And that's evident in the projects that we've done.
Yeah, the life expectancy of a precision employee is pretty long. You're not learning new faces, and we're not going to different companies and trying to sell you again. Yeah, so an optional service relationship, obviously, if you're satisfied with what you have, we can work with that. Let's go forward here a little bit. It's a little touchy, isn't it, Jen?
It is.
So we can provide energy services. We're a temperature control contractor. We also do maintenance, and then test and balance and commissioning of projects after they're completed. We'll jump to the next slide here. Schneider Electric is the product that we rep on. And you have Schneider Controls in this building. We've installed those on the original construction of this building. We had kind of a maintenance arrangement, but I think sometimes some of your past experience has been funding was always hard to come by, and we would maintain it under an agreement, and that ended just, I think, monetarily. So, but there's things we can do here, a couple things we can do in this building still to make it that much better. Let's go forward here. Yeah, just temperature control controllers there. We'll go forward one more. Here's typical, an installation of a fan system in a building, school. That's we'll go forward. More of the same. That's really representative of service and then doing these installations that you're asking us to look at. So on the following page, there's an old picture of what you guys were living with. Every time I would come to Beecher, you'd look at it and you'd wish that you could do something. And so then we were successful in and taking a look at helping out with the windows. Not only the window systems, but the masonry work that went above it, and the lintels, the steel lintels that were above it, were all rusted out and failing. So we got that corrected, and then you ended up with a nice looking facility. I think you got to all agree that the high school north elevation looks like heads and tails better.
Yeah.
And I think next photo might be one of, that's the same thing. And then we've got the elementary school, same thing. So that all occurred in a couple of summers. And then we also did some roofing work here. That's just some of the pre-roofing work where we're taking a look at infrared readings on the roofs. And that's really the cafeteria roof going in there. So that was a $1.2 million package of work that happened over a couple different summers. Homewood Flossmoor, it's actually I think $7 million now that we've done upgrades. This is just a air handling unit in the boiler room. We did a steam boiler replacement there. Bremen High School District 228, they asked us to air condition 4 schools that we air condition, high schools. Huge project, $30 million worth of work. Downers Grove, $11 million worth of work. New boiler plant and new piping and 12-inch piping in the school. we'll go forward. Same thing with Downers Grove. The New Lenox we're doing right now, we did their window systems, but we right now are doing new chillers there and upgrading their cooling system. Berlin 228, we finished up that project with some more roofing projects there. So, we're trying to look at, all right, you sent out an RFP, and what do you want us to do with it? So, Matt and I came up with a response that we think, if we look at these questions, would it make sense to air condition the high school and the elementary school? Well, it's kind of obvious, yes. That's why we're here. Would you prefer to install as much AC as possible, as soon as possible? Would doing the high school and the elementary school at the same time be more equitable than not doing it that way, doing them separately? We had Hanover actually across the border. They said, well, we want you to air condition the high school and in the same building as the junior high school, but we're not going to air condition the junior high school. And I said, well, are you going to be there on day one to talk to the junior high school staff when the people across the hallway have air conditioning and they don't? So it's more equitable sometimes to do it all, if you have to or you can, it's great to do it so that it's more equitable. So would replacing as much existing old equipment as possible make sense? Probably. So we were trying to work with those questions and came up with solutions for the high school and the elementary school. And then we also looked at the junior high school. Matt can maybe take a look at some of that. Let's go up. Yeah, that's where we want to be.
So we'll start with the high school, but both solutions that we came up with are similar in mechanical design. So knowing everything that we know about your schools and in the packet of information with the existing conditions, we kind of detail those out. We won't spend too much time on that. But what is our solution and what makes our solution different? I think that's the key part of the conversation that you guys are most interested in. So we do not believe and we did not base our design on reusing any of the existing steam systems. It's 70 years old in parts. We don't think it's a reliable source to invest money to go into the future with. So that includes using the steam boilers, using the steam to hot water heat exchangers, and the pumped hot water system throughout the building. It's a tough decision to go away from an existing system that you've spent money on many, many years ago. It still works today. It still works. This last winter, it still worked. Based on our conversations with Mike in facilities and some other folks, that those existing steam boilers have a lot of work that needs to be done on them. So that being one of the reasons. In addition to that, it's, some of the piping is 70 years old. So how many years you're living on borrowed time? How many more years can it be of service to you? If you're going to spend a bunch of money to make a new investment in your school, I think that the best long-term solution, in our opinion, is to start brand new, really. And that's what our solution is really based on. So in terms of some of the main considerations of a new HVAC system, obviously maintaining comfort, that's the most important, that drives the project, but also energy efficiency, and then also peripheral things like noise in the classrooms, what space is it going to take up in the classrooms. Those are all things that are really important, and I think that's, our opinion has evolved in what is kind of the ideal mechanical solution for a school over time. And what we propose, I think, is really the future of what HVAC in schools is going to be, and that's a VRF solution, which is short for very low refrigerant flow. So instead of what was maybe typical 5, 10, 15 years ago of using water to be pumped around the school, hot water, chilled water, very low refrigerant flow uses refrigerant. So there's an indoor unit that's commonly called a cassette that is located in the ceiling above the classroom, takes up no space. It's extremely quiet. It has no, loud moving parts besides a small fan. All the major mechanical pieces of equipment are located on the roof. and then a couple other things which I'll get into later that's a benefit of that. But the indoor unit's located in one indoor unit per each classroom. Those are all connected to one condensing unit, an outdoor unit that's located on the roof. So one of the huge benefits of the system is that it's extremely modular. So we broke out what we proposed on the map here. The purple kind of blends in with the blue, so it might be a little bit hard to see, but there's a green section, a purple section, and an orange section. So those would actually be 3 dedicated systems, a VRF and dedicated outdoor air system. So one of the benefits that provides you is the project can very easily be phased over multiple years. So if you're doing a major mechanical renovation, you could keep the steam system in place as you do sections of the building as either funding becomes available or as you want to bite it off in bite-sized chunks so you don't disturb the whole building at once, or to fit a tighter schedule for the summer, something like that. So imagine you could do one of the things, and I'll briefly step through all the different scope items that we have presented for you. But one of the things that you could do is add, based on our site walkthrough, and we brought an electrical contractor out, an electrical engineer on site to determine that you need a new electrical utility service from ComEd to support the project. So that would be kind of a phase 1 that you would do in the winter preceding a summer project. Phase 1 could be one of these sections. Phase 2 could be a following, phase 3 could be a following. It could be broken up over multiple years. Not to say that we couldn't do it all in one summer. It is a relatively big project, so that it's always possible. That is very doable, but a phased approach sometimes work too. The blue sections are the larger areas. Our solution, the VRF and dedicated outdoor air system, that's good for classrooms, offices, stuff like that. The large area that requires more airflow, we have rooftop units for each of those areas to provide more air to be able to serve a larger volume of space. So you can skip to the next slide.
There you go.
Same idea. So 3 different sections in the elementary school, plus rooftop units for the larger spaces.
So can you see the purple is kind of those large gymnasium and cafeteria?
Right. Multi-purpose room, library. Yep.
And then the VRF zone 2 and zone 1, 2, and then 3, which includes the basement and the basement, right?
Yes, the red zone would include the lower level.
So that building could pretty easily, classroom-wise, be built up in 3 different sections if you wanted to. Or it can all be done at once.
So mechanical engineering-wise, a couple other things that makes a VRF system different than other systems is your typical system that uses hot water, chilled water, or other types of unit ventilator systems can either only be in heating or cooling for the entire system at once. Not all systems require that, but you see that in a lot of schools. VRF is great because while it's all in the same zone, one class, if it's a swing season where you might have 30 kids in one classroom on a mild day and only a few on the other day, one room might require it to be heated while the other one might require it to be cooled.
Yeah.
So our system, the VRF system can do that. So that's one of the main benefits.
And each one of these zones has a DOYAS unit, a dedicated outdoor air fan system that is ventilating that room. And basically, I guess one of the advantages is the ventilation side of things is a little bit more efficient.
Oh, okay.
So.
Right, so as opposed to like currently, like a steam unit ventilator or any other type of unit ventilator, in each of the classrooms you have a penetration through the wall which you're bringing in outside air. For our system, we actually, for each one of these zones, there's an small air handling unit or rooftop unit commonly referred to that is ducted through the hallways and into the classrooms above the ceiling. Again, part of the benefit of the system is that all the mechanical equipment is concealed. You don't see any of it. Each indoor unit is ducted to diffusers that are in the drop ceiling. So when you walk into a classroom, you don't see any.
If I may ask, so you said in the elementary bit about asbestos is not included. So would this system require much more abatement?
So I know, especially the work that has been done in the high school, very little, if at all, abatement would be required. Elementary school, I'm not as sure about to the work that has been done.
I think it depends on the amount of demolition you do on the existing cabinetry and the ventilators. I think there's transite behind there in addition to just pipe and mud.
Yeah, because it says we need in elementary, we need new lighting and new ceiling with this.
Well,
I mean,
so the lighting and ceiling comes into play, and you mentioned ducting ventilation into the classrooms. We try to take the most unobtrusive route for that, and it's a smaller amount of duct work because it's really only serving the ventilation need. It's not really doing the heating and cooling. The cassette is doing that.
but when you check that, we didn't have asbestos in our ceilings, so we're good, or?
So my experience at the high school has been, the pink perforated ceiling tile with the pink dotted lettering on it is hot, and when you just did your junior high school.
And then for the high school, as a part of the 1952 wing, that we did the flooring and ceiling grid and lighting work 2 summers ago. So there was asbestos, all that was abated, and this summer, all of that, the next wing is abated.
Yeah, the high school's clear. I'm just afraid this will double our cost at the elementary because we start tearing out ceilings and all of a sudden asbestos.
But I think ceiling has been done.
So at the elementary, that was before all this was talked, that's actually phase 3, that's looking for next summer. And so Ideal would take care of all the abatement. We would not have Precision involved in removing any of that. So before any HVAC work was done at the elementary, that would be abated first, and then either they would come along afterwards while they're putting things back in to work together.
And it's mostly floors at elementary.
Yes,
right?
yeah, I think mainly it's the tile.
Okay.
And really, that's the lowest cost way of getting it done. You're going to get 6 abatement contractors to look at that. And so you should, you have done well on that in the high school, and you'll do well at the elementary school.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Will these ceilings, with all this equipment's going onto the roof, are the roofs structurally sound enough to handle that?
So we do have structural engineering analysis for these units. It's each one of them is maybe in the 500 to 1,000 pound range. So relative for a roof load, that's relatively low. In areas like the oldest parts of the building, like the 1952 wing, that has wood truss framing, that might be more difficult than not. What we can do is be flexible as the location of where these units are. So we wouldn't necessarily have to locate it directly above the classroom or the hallway outside the classroom. It could be, 20 feet in a different direction to a location that's more suitable.
We're still waiting to do the elementary roof, right? Like, we're waiting on materials. So that's what we're saying. If it's going to get redone and we need to add support, that would be the time.
Yeah, and typically the type of support that would go into that actually would be, structural steel that are stiffeners in between bar joists, in the case of a bar joist seal. So it's not...
I just hate to spend money redoing a roof and then next summer, we need to do it again because it's not going to support this.
Sure, right, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like adding new beams or major work. It's support within the existing structure.
Yeah, so, good question though. And there are some new rules on the whole structural thing when you're putting more than, I believe it's either 17 or 13 feet up there. If it's over 13 feet long, you have to include a certain amount of snow load nowadays. It's a huge, huge factor, and that's where you really get into trouble on bigger units. So.
I think going back to the ceiling question, part of the benefit of the solution is it all being concealed. So we have obviously, as a part of this project, we have all the cost of removing either parts or the existing ceiling grid structure and reinstalling after our project. In the hallways where the ductwork and the vast majority of the piping takes place, we do have complete removal of all the ceiling grid and reinstallation with new lighting included.
And that's all included?
In all the
Okay.
hallways, all included, yeah.
Okay.
So there's as a part of these projects, and something that, Jim, you can speak to, that I think we spend a lot of time on site investigating. Jim's been in the buildings for a long time. We try and develop a very detailed scope of work that we provided you to include absolutely everything that's included in the project. So I'm very confident that we can get the project done for the cost that we have included, soup to nuts from the very beginning to the very end, so.
What do we got next here, Jack?
Great question,
What
Jeff.
curveball can we throw at here?
Go stop.
That's it. You know, in that basement area, I know Brad was pretty adamant about making sure that we are taking care of dehumidification. And I think that's better now that Mike has put concrete down in that.
Yeah, that's the
tunnel
upstairs, the
area.
other one was the basement. Okay.
Yeah, the one prior.
Yes, yeah.
So we feel pretty good about that, that being dehumidified pretty well. So yeah, in your books you have a financial section, and you're familiar with the ESSER 1, 2, and 3 money, and that you're getting 100,000, 300,000, and perhaps 1.1 or something. So that's great. And I mentioned earlier, funds would dry up. You're paying for this building and not wanting to, go into debt to do something, certainly everyday operational type O&M stuff. And maybe you elect to not renew a $4,000 a year maintenance agreement on controls in this building. That's fine. It's kind of, you get by, and maybe it degrades a little bit. It hasn't degraded, it's not falling, the sky's not falling here, you'll be fine. And we can actually make it better with, with the chiller project, we have that in there. But, as Matt mentioned, we're pretty confident, we're very confident in what we have put together in the way of a solution, and we think it's kind of a 100% solution of your equipment, not just 80% or 70% of it. You end up with essentially, it's a Hvac solution. It's not a Ferrari. Ferrari would be a 4-pipe system, that they have over at Franciscan Hospital that we do all the controls for. You don't need a 4-pipe system in a school district. On the next page, I guess, just similar to the roof project and the window projects and the 52 edition projects, no change orders. We can do everything on the engineering side for you, all consulting, code compliance. We do a lot of times. Some of the ESCOs don't like to do asbestos and like you guys to handle that separate. We can do that if that's how you want to do it, or we can take care of the asbestos removal design, bid it out, and get it cleaned up. We include move out, move in, storage, cleaning, and really we've done a lot of work in schools. We're in them every day. We can do this project for you, whether you want to do elementary, seniors, high school, or all three. So we'd love to ask you to give us a chance at the business.
Well, I have the same question Larry kind of asked earlier. How about getting supplies in, lead out times?
Yeah, I think, there would be a lot of discussion among really the board and the administration. We have 26 acres and 46,000 square feet under roof. If you guys wanted to do a project and really hit it early in the spring, pre-purchasing things, or we do a lot of that with with that much square footage under roof, we can take early delivery of things, have all the controls factory mounted on it. The other thing that's interesting at Hill, I'd love to take you guys, if you'd ever have interest, I'd love to take you up to see how from a as-built AutoCAD drawing, and then you go down into the floor of the fabrication shop, and different parts of the product are getting assembled, and it's all modular construction. And by the time you get to the end of the room, there's pallets full of all the plumbing or piping parts you need, all the valves, everything, and they're stacked. They're saran wrapped in reverse order so that the one on top is the first one the guy in the field is going to touch. And so we can be pretty productive in the field. It's really an amazing thing to see on the floor. Again, I'd love to extend it, an hour visit up there sometime. So we can handle pre-purchasing, and we can certainly handle storage. So.
Especially in this environment, just to add to that, it's an important point. I mean, I think typically when we are talking about pre-purchasing equipment in a typical year, you'd be saying we want to have the design done and pre-purchasing start in December, January, February, and you're covered to get mechanical equipment by the summer. The large chiller or boiler might be a 16-week lead time. None of the equipment that is a part of this project is one of that large, super long lead time equipment, because it's a modular solution where we have different sections. So we're talking about lead time in the, if you left yourself 2 to 3 months, you'd be covered. That being said, I think some of the work that would need to precede the mechanical work, such as the electrical, the addition of a new utility service to the building, that would need to be planned in the fall to be done in the winter, spring time frame. Most of that work is outside or just in the mechanical room in the building, so you could do that during school. But that would definitely have to precede any large mechanical project.
And that's covered in your bid?
It is.
Yeah, it is. And any of that changeover going from old to new service, that's talked about weeks ahead of time. The IT folks are, they're getting their stuff ready for a shutdown of power and bringing power back up. Do it on a weekend and no one even knows it occurred. So yeah, that's kind of what we do all the time. So.
Okay. If we needed you guys to come to a facilities meeting for just some more in-depth, yes, okay. Okay.
Love to.
All right, great. Any other questions?
Do you only work with do you have certain vendors you only use, or are you open kind of we can't get a part and get it somewhere else? I know that was something that was discussed.
As far as equipment suppliers and whatnot, our desire is to really use the leaders in as far as equipment, we try to keep a pool of the leading manufacturers. If you have an input, either service-wise or Mike wants a certain thing. If you favor Cariel versus Train or York or McQuaid, whatever it might be, that's great. We'll honor that and we'll work with doing that, but we'd never let any of those school manufacturers know who's got the advantage on it. We want to keep it as competitive as possible right up to the moment of purchase. So, but yeah, we work with all the major brands, and Hill Mechanical's buying power when they're doing $400 million of this a year is something to be pretty neat. So.
Can you email us your PowerPoint?
Sure.
That would be awesome. Okay.
Or I could give it to Marlene. Oh, you know what? It's a power. Can you print out a PowerPoint into a PDF?
Put it in a PDF. Yeah.
Of course you can.
It's Marla.
It's Marla, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, is there anything else?
Majority of your work is done during the summer then?
It's interesting. We were going through that equation the other day, and I posed it to our vice president. I said, from, is it like May to July, or June to August, we're doing like 60% of our work.
Right.
It's, you know, but it's great, it all works. Takes a lot of communication with the administration.
Oh, yes.
Just real quick, I heard the other company, they got the elementary and the high school. You had all three.
Right.
Did you just decide to give us the third option, or were you in the haste?
When we were at the pre-bid meeting, we asked about the junior high, just knowing the history of it, and then the original design, and that call for pulling the alternate that never happened, kind of thing, and that knowing that the building was partially set up to add cooling, there's going to be an investment in cooling, but we asked about that, and that's something that Brad said, if you think it's of value to the district, you can look into that and propose that. So
I'm just curious, we got a price for the three, and the other company didn't get an opportunity to look at this building per Precision, which I know Precision does great work at, did the windows and what you did, but this building Precision gave us a price with it for this building, but the other company didn't get the opportunity to give a price because it was only an RFP. So I'm asking, as a board member, that maybe they can give us a price for this one.
But it was an option on the RFP, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just optional.
It was
They just
optional,
didn't
so they
do it.
chose,
I understand what they chose, Janet.
Yeah.
I understand what they chose. I'm asking if they can give what they also on this one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Ronald, it's a negotiated procurement, so, Julie asked, would we have interest in sitting down again to go, whatever that might be. So there's a lot of conversation in this type of purchasing arrangement. It's a little different than, on bid day being the low bidder, and it's that guy right there, and then he has to go back to his general contractor who won the job, and he's got to give more money back to him, and it gets to be a mess.
I understand all that.
But as far as negotiated procurement, you can have them do whatever you'd like them to do as far as price and stuff.
Well, I just like, you gave three. I just like
Sure.
to see them give three.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's understandable.
Okay. We really appreciate you guys coming out.
Well, we really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Great. We'll be in contact.
thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
How far they?
Great.
You don't mean that, Jen.
What? It's toasty.
It is toasty in here.
Mike's not here
I was
anymore, that's
cold
why it's
last
not.
time, I wore my sweater this time, and I was dying.
I know.
Yeah, just a little warmer.
Jim went in the back, turned up the controls, and that's what it is.
Right, we want you to really think about this AC. Imagine this during the day with the noon sun.
You just have to.
So,
That's right, just.
Okay. Okay.
He's like, I'm over
Thanks.
orange.
Thanks again.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Well, there's different things, and that's why I could put the price difference. We really need, like, still need that. Well, that's why I asked earlier, why we need that.
So, as we move forward with this, I mean, clearly, we have a lot that we're going to be talking about in the next month with strategic plan, with our board retreat. We have a lot to discuss. And what I would like to do with this is that we move, like, we all heard this because I wanted everybody to. This isn't just facilities, because I feel like the financial area has to be aware, everything, there's so many moving parts, right? But what I would like to do is take this now back to facilities, where we can kind of really look at the nitty-gritty here. And as you know, and Mr. Gahan brought up, our facility, and all of our committee meetings are going to be like as we have found out, that, you know, if you wanted to be there, and discussing and everything as far as decisions, that will be made by the committee. Yes, go ahead.
It is a committee of the whole, but it's just the members voting if you're going to have it all together. So for a long time that we have fought against the committee of the whole. I just want to say, no, hold on. I just want to say thank you for softening up whoever chose to, because I think it's very important that every board member has that same information instead of listening on a tape. Because if you have a question, you can't ask on a tape. Then you got to start sending emails, text messages. So I just want to say that I'm glad that we're seeing the path forward. And again, this board can be very, very productive when all members have the same information. But thank you.
And we can also, if you would like to discuss putting that on the next agenda, we can absolutely look at that.
I'm
just saying. Okay, so we're going to take that to facilities. I will let everybody know when we'll have a meeting, what that's going to look like, so that if anybody, you know, other than the facilities committee wants to go, you may. Okay? Thank you. It's exciting. Lots of good stuff to come. All right, so since Dr. Gainham already talked in the beginning, did you have anything to add to your reopening? We're good? Okay, thank you for that. Then we're gonna move on to new business. I need a motion to approve the resignation of Janae Smith as teacher aide.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, Pappas?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the resignation of Edward Cariel as custodian, and you guys got the letter in your hard copies.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Belt?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And I need a motion to approve the resignation of Mary Kay Pittman, who is one of our school nurses.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Mr. Graham?
Yes,
On the
sir.
nurse, do we have any leads on a second nurse for this year?
That's my question
Oh,
too.
that is a great question. So again, with her resignation, I've already asked Kara before this meeting, put something out there right now. So that was Friday. She put it out there Friday. I also have Kara looking into the possibility of outsourcing a nurse until we get somebody out there and what that cost would be. Because then I've talked to Mr. Herman about the finances of it, because if I have to outsource it, it's going to cost me $30 an hour, and we're paying right now $20.
I just want to make sure that we don't start the year off with just one with all the.
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen. Sir.
Yeah, because Angie's going to be very overwhelmed.
Yes.
Yes.
And she was overwhelmed with 2 people.
Right.
Yeah.
So much.
Second.
Thank you.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I need a motion to approve the employment of Casey Swanson as junior high cross country coach for the 2021-2022 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I need a motion to approve the high school gymnasium door quote from American Building Services of Wheeling, Illinois, in the amount of $10,893.92.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Mazur?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I need a motion to approve the non-union classified personnel fiscal year 2021-2022 salary wages as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Ashley.
Okay, Palmer?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I need a motion to approve the substitute coordinator stipend to Kathy Weiss in the amount of $2,501.
3,000.
You said 2,000. Oh, on my paper it says 2. I'm so sorry.
That's right.
$3,501.73 for the fiscal year 2021-2022.
It's $3,051.
Oh, my number's wrong.
So is mine.
No,
That's what I have
hold on
here.
1 second.
So,
Let me read it from here.
3,051.73 is what you have?
Yes, that's what I have, so I just wanted to make sure.
Double, yes, hold
Okay,
on,
just make
hold
sure.
on, the official.
5173.
3,051.73.
3,051.73.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
so I'll repeat. I needed action to approve the substitute coordinator stipend to Kathy Weiss in the amount of $3,051.73 for the fiscal year 2021 and 2022 school year.
So,
Second.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I need a motion to approve the athletic director / dean of students fiscal year 2021-2022 administrative contract as presented.
so moved.
Second?
Thank you.
Pappas?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I need a motion to approve the special education coordinator fiscal year 2021-2022 administrative contract as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you.
Belt?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I have a question about the next item, Riverside
Yes.
Athletic Trainer. Am I understanding that we are approving this ahead of the fact that they need to find somebody to fill that position?
They need to know that we want it so they can fill the position, yes. So that's why when I had Marla write up the agenda line, we want the middle option, because I think that's the most, A, responsible one, and B, it satisfies what we need.
Yep.
It is a part-time position that they would hire.
Yep.
If not, then we have to go to the de facto $30 an hour, which
Okay.
If there's two
And we're locked in to the de facto, or it's like they can't fill it, we have the option of trying to fill it ourselves like we had talked before?
I mean, we can always try to fill it ourselves, but if we're going to internalize this, you're looking at a lot more than, and even if you went with option A, which I believe is 31, that would be a heck of a lot cheaper than trying to fill it.
And I will say that this program is excellent.
Yes. I agree with you. So are we doing, I know there was a 19 and a 31. I mean, did I miss it somewhere? Did we decide? There was more hours involved in it.
Yeah, so the 31 is, it's 10 extra hours a week. And then when I sat with Bob and we looked at the actual schedules, even 20 hours a week, we will barely get to that on an average week. So to pay somebody an extra 10 hours a week to hopefully 1 week hit it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to spend an extra $12,000 on something we probably aren't going to use. But to be fair, if we go to the $30 an hour route, they're going to be there for games. If we do what I'm suggesting, which is the 19, they will be there for practices and they will be there for the games. That's why I said that's the better option.
I agree that our student athletes should be there for at practices and that, so
So you agree with the 19.5?
Yeah.
Okay. I do
So
as
if
well.
there's multiple sports, they will go to both?
Yeah, just like Molly did in the
Just
past.
like in the
Yep.
past?
Yep.
Okay.
They'll be available, so if there's a soccer game and softball game, they're at one of the two, and if something happens, they'll slide over.
Yeah, I'm really happy with those. Okay. Any
Did
other
you say the
questions?
amount for the motion?
What's that?
Did you say the amount for the motion yet?
I didn't.
No, okay.
I didn't say what I needed. Yeah. I need a motion to approve the Riverside Athletic Trainer Agreement as presented, page 2, covered option available number 2, August 1st to May 31st coverage costing $19,500 annually and 1 part-time athletic trainer.
So.
Second?
Thank you.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And if I may, if you're comfortable with it, let's give it the month, and then when we have our August board meeting, if we don't have anybody, I say we make another motion and then push forward the $30 an hour.
Okay.
Or we can go back to the 31, but let's.
Are they guaranteed? We're going to approve the contract. Are they then going to hire somebody?
Yes,
They're going to
so-
hire somebody now, they want to make sure
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
were going to go
So
with whatever.
we're still
option.
Yeah, and my guess is that we're not the only school that has that, so my guess is they have it posted for us and other schools.
I just want, what my goal is, I want to make sure that our student athletes have somebody that practices and a game, not just $30 for a game, come in.
So that if we can't find anybody, then we'll maybe we'll bring it to personnel and say, we can't find 19, let's move forward with 31, and then instead of the $30 an hour, so. But fingers crossed we get it filled.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the fiscal year 2022 district consolidated plan as presented. This is for title grants, by the way.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, Hernandez.
Yes.
Mazur.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Pappas.
Yes.
Belt.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, Transportation Committee, would you like to explain how that meeting went?
Thought it went pretty good. Ron had brought up a concern that we've been working on the other side of the tracks, the safety of getting those kids across the tracks. So Dr. Gahan is looking into getting that zone a danger zone.
Kenny Loggins.
And we're looking to get those kids to school safely.
Is that, I know we didn't speak on it, and Mr. Graham or Mr. Hernandez at that meeting, but my goal is to make sure that those kids on first day of school, that they have some transportation. Will that be?
There will be a stop over there. Scott will make sure that those families are notified, and he'll make sure the bus gets there.
The safety of those kids means the most.
And Mr. Austin is in charge of that, and I have all the faith in the world that he'll set up a good system to get those kids across the track.
And thanks for that. That's great.
So register your kids so we know where you're at.
That too.
Ashley, do you know?
Right?
I'm registered. I haven't paid, but I registered.
Before we go to policy, I do, facilities wasn't on here, but we had a facilities meeting. There was a lot of conversation about the soccer field, which will be continued soon. We're working very hard on that. Also about mowing and then also HVAC. So there's going to be a lot of facilities meetings coming up.
Yeah, I want to say about the facilities. I did see after we spoke about it, needs in that, it does look pretty good around the fences. So
Yeah, there you go.
But it shouldn't have to be brought up.
Yep. Okay, Chair of Policy.
All right, we spoke on policy about Press 107. We had some discussions on many things in there, and also we made it clear that in the policy meetings, as Mr. Gahan and myself, in those meetings, if the public wants to speak, go ahead, just be cordial to each other, and when the board is doing their work, just the committee, I should say, committee board members, just let them do their work, and I promise you, at the end and before, you'll have your say, because you guys are the most important. So, moving forward, we just spoke about Press 107, and agreed to bring it back to full board for approval.
So we need a motion to approve the Press Plus update, number 107, as presented.
So,
Second.
Thank you.
Mazur.
yes.
Palmer.
Brad's name was still on this, what's presented.
Where it was supposed to be
It was
replaced
supposed to be
with Gahan.
replaced after we remove it.
Got it. Yes, thank you,
Full board.
yes. Just making sure, yes.
Okay, Herman.
Yes.
Pappas.
Yes.
Belt.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I said thanks for catching it.
For the fiscal year 2022 IHSA membership, Mr. Dr. Gaham, would you like to just touch on the cost there real quick? So that's,
Yeah, so we had a community member bring up a concern about, this has always been something that's been free in the past in the association. So Craig Anderson, who's the executive director, and they've been doing a lot of work trying to make sure that they still have an actual organization. And so the very last thing they came up with, because they have lost 3 consecutive seasons, and they've had 0 money. And one of the things that, whether you agree or disagree, I tend to agree, many schools are getting extra support through ESSER grant and all this extra grant money to help fund this, and this facility, this corporation's not, this association's not. And so what they look to do is to kind of recoup all that money, just do a flat rate for, he said up to 3 years. He's actually hoping that it goes away after 2, to recoup the money, to actually be able to provide opportunities for our kids at the state level.
And I agree, at 1,250, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, 12,
You know,
1250.
If we don't, the kids don't get to participate. And I think we'd have a bigger issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, gosh.
Yes,
So,
sir.
I think the 1,250, I think is still minimal. I know it's been free in the past, but I think it's still minimal.
And now IESA is not asking for that?
That, I have not had anything from Mr. DuBois in that regard.
Okay.
I'll talk to Mr. Meyer tomorrow, because I'll see him. I know at one point in time there was a rumor IESA was going to put together a GoFundMe. They never did. So they
Yeah, I
may
heard
have found
that
the funding.
rumor as well.
Yeah, but I have not gotten anything from Mr. DuBois or Mrs. Wozniak.
Okay. All right. So,
Do we need to discuss the second reason the community member wasn't wanting us to do the membership?
I can address it if you'd like.
I didn't know. I just remember you
So-
said that should be an open meeting. so
Yeah,
that's
no,
why-
it's perfectly fine. Well, yeah, okay.
I know.
So the
I know,
other
that's
reason
what I
is, one of the big topics, and obviously in the world we're living in right now, is the transgender movement. Students who are going from either male to female, or female to male. And this community member was concerned that, you know, by saying yes to IHSA, that we're agreeing one side of the aisle or the other. And so after looking at the actual policy, the policy actually just says that if a student is indeed transgender, and they have the definition of transgender per them, not unisex or anything like that, they actually have a term, there's a significant amount of legwork that has to go through first the family, then the school, then the IHSA takes that information, and the IHSA will then make a determination on that student's eligibility. So that's actually how all of that goes about. To say that, oh yeah, we're part of IHSA, and then also to attach that we agree with whatever politics that's associated with, I'm not saying Beecher agrees with it, I'm not saying Beecher disagrees with it. I'm just simply saying IHSA has a policy, that is the process they have for transgender students. And in my experience in 3 years, we have had 0 in any of the 2A sports that we have. So by you saying, yes, let's be part of IHSA membership, that association has a policy. That's the 34th policy on 45 pages of policies that we agree to, yes. If we're at a girls' track meet and there's a transgender, man, I don't, Facebook, please don't light me up, male, female, that we understand that they're running in the race. We're not saying we agree with it, we're not saying we disagree with it. We are saying, IHSA, we're a member, we understand that is your right, that is your policy, and we will run our girls/boys, and whatever it is. Did I say that as politically correct as I could?
Yes, you did. Yep, perfect.
We'll check on YouTube.
Right? Comments? Yep. So, I don't remember if I said it, so we need a motion to approve the fiscal year 2022 IHSA membership for Beecher High School in the amount of $1,250.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Keller?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Hernandez? And Reserve?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I have not been notified that we need to proceed into executive session. Does anybody need that?
No.
Okay. Then, under items of other, this is where I'm going to address board member vacancy. In board policy 270, that is where it addresses vacancies of the board and filling that, and that vacancy can happen if there is resignation in writing filed with the secretary of the board, which Elizabeth Duchess has done. So moving on, we have 60 days to fill the vacancy, and that is what we will be doing. If anyone is interested in filling this vacancy, please email me at jpappas@beecher200u.org. And we will be, I need that by July
President, real
Yeah.
quick, I asked that vacancy, that anybody that's interested go through the superintendent, so there's no part for you that like we're like trying to, put some individual on there, that it goes through Dr. Gam, then to wherever committee where it's gonna go, or
I
whatever.
believe that it's supposed to go through the board president, but hold on one second.
You are allowed to assign a delegate as long as 4 of you tell me to do it. And they have to attach, I'm looking at it right now, there has to actually be a resume attached to the interest as well.
And could we also post this on the district website or
100%.
their Facebook page as well? So it's up to you guys. If you would like it to go to Dr. Gaham, if we could talk about that. We could do a straw poll. If you don't mind it coming through me, then we could do that.
It's not about, I don't want to go through you, it's not what I'm saying, I'm just saying that,
Well,
And there's no accusation.
how about this?
Yeah,
Would you
it's
guys
just
be
a safe,
comfortable if
neutral.
anybody who was interested would send that to Dr. Gaham, and then Dr. Gaham would send that to all of us?
There you go.
Would that be
Or to
comfortable?
you, I'm cool if it's just to you, just like you said, that way you're,
Okay.
make
As long
sure
as
you're
we're
covered,
following
there's no.
policy,
Right.
we're good.
Yes.
July,
Yeah, you said July 1.
you want 30th?
31st. No,
31st,
30th.
that's
Let's do it. It's a
Saturday.
Friday. Yes.
And- okay.
So by July 30th, I want to find that exact policy because I don't want to go against. Hold on.
And technically, it can be anyone, both incorporated and unincorporated. Because per our policy, we only have to have at least 2 unincorporated, which are me and
Correct.
Larry. So just saying, it doesn't have to be just incorporated in town people. It can be country also.
So-
all features open.
It says the board will publicize it and accept resumes from the district residents who are interested in filling the vacancy. After reviewing the applications, the board may invite the prospective candidates for personal interviews to be conducted during duly scheduled closed meetings, which that will be done the first week of August,
So do
okay?
you want to set up that meeting now? while we're-
Absolutely. I'm all about that.
Okay, well, because it's going to
So-
be crunch time because it's going to be a busy month.
Yeah,
It's
so
a busy few weeks.
the announcement can say to Dr. Gaham, and then if you understand, just send it to all of us, that would be very sure. Then, so July 30th is the end date. Now, this also brings up, as the board scheduling for regular board meetings came out, recently, I'm going to Disney, August 6th to the 13th. Now, so what I'm asking is if this was a regular meeting, I would have Mr. Herman take that. And I have no problem with him doing that, but I would like to be here. So I'm also requesting at that if we could reschedule the regular meeting to the 16th.
The regular
So
school
skip
board
the
meeting
next
from the
Monday.
9th to the 16th?
Yes, so do we need a motion to do that?
Never hurts.
So I,
When in doubt?
right, I would like to make a motion to reschedule the regular scheduled board meeting from August 9th to August 16th at 7 PM.
What is the first day of school?
18th is the first teacher day, the 19th is the first student day.
My first teacher day is the 6th.
That's what mine is too. But that's just, sorry, that's kind of cutting it for the final, letting parents know. I mean, I'm sure you'll have emails and stuff, so I mean, I guess they'll be
Yeah.
covered, but
Letting parents know what, sorry.
like what the final plan is for returning to school, masks.
Oh,
no
that's
masks,
gonna
all
be
that
sent
jazz.
out in a video within, my guess is Friday before I
Okay.
leave work,
Yeah.
I'll put a video together after.
So do I,
So we can make a motion even though it's not on the agenda item?
I actually don't think you need a
We
motion.
don't need it, okay,
No.
I'm just,
You guys get to
straw
plan your
poll,
meetings
are
as
you
you
guys
want.
okay with that?
I'm fine for the 16th if you're.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Herman?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as we publicize it 48 hours before,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
can do
Okay,
whatever you want.
so,
Now-
thank you very much for doing that. Then, we also need to look at when we will do those interviews by special board meeting. And I would like to do it the first week of August. The 2nd to the 5th, I'm open.
And depending how many we get will kind of determine
Well, I think.
how many days it may take.
And how many we get and how many we will interview.
I'm hoping one, but you never know.
No, it's not gonna be days,
So-
it'll be one closed
One
session.
meeting? Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
realistically, you get them on a Friday, review them, we probably get sent to them over the weekend. You need 48 hours in advance.
So Wednesday
Well,
the 4th?
Meeting,
Well, true,
Well, no, it's closed session. Do we need to?
Yeah, because you
Yes,
still have to
you
do your
do.
pledge, then you go
Yeah,
to
so your
executive
release
session.
would be the 4th.
The 4th, okay, so.
So you wanna do it on the 4th?
Yes, the 4th, time. We're on, I know that you are garnered on time there.
Go ahead.
What time?
What time? What do you have?
Just out of, I mean, 4, but is that okay?
4 is fine.
4?
4 on the 4th?
4 on the 4th?
Yes.
Yeah, as long as after 1:30, I'm good.
Marlon, Dr. Gingham? 4? Okay, 4 on the 4th.
No, Madam President, you said as I get them, send them to you. Would you prefer individual emails like that, or would you like, once the 30th rolls around and I have all the candidates, to send you one email with all the names and all the applications?
I would like them as you got them.
I'm just asking preference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Whatever.
I'll make sure everybody gets it, whether you get them one at a time. Okay.
Okay,
I will-
and then if we can post that Facebook announcement tomorrow, that would be great.
And on the website.
We'll put it in the newspaper as well.
Exactly.
That way.
Yes, because we actually do need to advertise that. Okay. Any other questions about other things?
Madam
Okay.
President, you said 4 o'clock.
I said 4 o'clock on the 4th.
4 on the 4th.
4 on the 4th. All right, so any items anyone would like to bring up for the August 16th board meeting?
Yeah, go ahead and let you know right now. Damn, I'd like to put that to the table.
Okay,
Committee of the whole.
okay. Sounds good. Upcoming dates, as we know, July 29th is our board retreat, starting at 3 o'clock. We are very excited about. Mr. Gagan, would you like to share the, no?
Oh,
Food.
Tony Scruggs, who is,
I'm like, does anybody know?
he's a phenomenal chef. If you haven't actually known, he was actually on MasterChef, and he threw something at Gordon Ramsay, or he threw a plate down in front of Gordon Ramsay himself.
Yep.
But he'll be catering our dinner that
Yes.
day. So
He
I met
actually
with
lives
him.
in Grant Park.
Yep. He is one of the lead chefs at,
Old Crow Smokehouse.
no, that's.
Well, that's where he was.
Yeah, he
Yep.
was, the Vineyard.
Lava Court.
Volix. Yeah, the Volix Vineyard. He's
Or is that not Lava Court?
No, look, we're done.
Nope, that's different. Okay,
So,
separate.
but we're gonna have a roast beef, right? Because I'll get here early if we are.
We're having ham sandwiches.
Hey, I was expecting Subway, so you're like, chef. I'm like,
I know, I'm so excited about this. And Tony is wonderful, so I'm really excited. So that is dinner, and then we're going to talk about but we're going to be in a special board meeting, open session at 6 or 7.
We'll probably eat at 6.
7.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm thinking 7 as well.
6:30, 7, yeah.
And that will be also exciting. All right, so I just need a motion to adjourn the meeting. And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.